Great. So today we will speak about the chapter 2, which is desire. And this is one of my favorite. Yeah, as you said, it is a fuel to get behind all achievements.
Well, and I 80% of what I do is mindset. I have tips and tricks and like market specific tools that they can use, but the mindset's the most important thing. And so when I talk to someone, if they're not necessarily a potential client, they're just trying to pick my brain. I'm sure you get that from time to time.
Mhm.
They always seem to have the same question. Where do I start? Where do I begin? And it's like you start at the beginning. The beginning is figuring out what the hell you want. Because if you don't know what you want, whether you succeed or fail at anything is going to be random. And law of averages, it's going to be a failure because you don't have the proper fuel that it takes to actually succeed at anything. You need to know what you want. I mean, Napoleon calls desire the starting point of all achievement. I could not agree more. That's the first thing. If I mean, desire is finding out what you want, and you need that to kind of set your goals. If I was working with someone to create a plan, like a business plan for next year, for example, let's say it took 10 hours to create that plan, we would spend 8 hours figuring out what they want and what their goals were. And then the final two would just be making the actual plan. The desire is important. In fact, I've I've read this book multiple times, but I remember once reading it. I went back and read chapter two right after I finished chapter two. Then I went back and read chapter two right after I finished chapter two,
Mhm.
just to make sure I really, really got it because you really got to get it.
Mhm. Yes. And this is such a big difference between desire and wish or hope. Because
Right.
people who just have that fantasy and they wish something but they never give that wish a real consideration, they don't see it is possible, they just wish it to be possible. And this is where it is such a huge difference, because in order to achieve something you have to not just wish and hope, but have that burning desire and know exactly that this is what you want. This is that you are ready to burn the boats behind and fully immerse yourself in the process and do whatever it takes in order to get it.
Well, it's knowing what your goal is. You can probably tell from my background, I'm kind of a sports guy. I love sports a lot, and there's a lot of analogies. But when your goal is to win a match or a game, you don't shut down because the other team so scores. The score doesn't necessarily win the game. You got to score more than they do, right? So if you want your goal is to win the game, did you meet your goal if you won 5-4? Yes, but that means you failed to prevent them from scoring 4 times, and that might be a lot. But as long as you scored one more than them, you won, so you achieved your goal. So knowing what the goal is based on knowing what you want and what you desire. And it keeps you from wanting to throw in the towel or quit or give up when you're losing 4-0. And your goal was to win. You keep your focus on the goal. Okay, we have this much time left. We need to score 5 more times. And you you are constantly tweaking your plan. You're constantly adapting and changing, but you keep your desire is what's fueling the not giving up until you there's nothing you can do. And once the game's over and you lost, you didn't meet your goal. It's over. But until it's over, you keep going after your goal. A wish, it's like, oh, it would have been cool if we'd have won, but clearly we're going to lose this game. You just don't have it, and you won't have it. And that's why this chapter is so important.
Yes, because this is all about energy. When you see yourself as this is already done, it has happened, and you see yourself already there, you will start with a very different energy from if it is just a wish or hope. Wish or hope, you will not be all in, because
Right. And desire is not necessarily the goal. Desire is what you want or what you want to accomplish. The goal is based on that desire. and it's got to be a burning desire, something that's inside you, that's more important than other things. And I mean, he breaks it down, but the starting point of achievement is that burning desire. Um, and that kind of, when he introduces this, he kind of reintroduces the core message from chapter one, but really sets the tone for this entire chapter, because this entire chapter is not just want something. It's not just have a desire. It's really laying out why it's important. And like you said, what's the difference between a wish and a goal? What's the difference between a it would be nice or it is my passion and I will get it done before I die no matter what? That's the difference.
Yes, so goal is what you want, and desire it is feeling. And this is feeling which becomes a fuel which propel you towards your goal, which you will wake up every day, and this feeling, why it is called burning desire, because you can feel it in your gut that it is something like you really like different frequency. It gets you when you think about this, about your goal, you get in different frequency that moves you forward, that uh, pushes you through all the challenges, all uncertainties, all these places where you are uncomfortable when you step out of your zone of comfort. Yes, so this is exactly what we need, like a fuel which gives you to move forward, whatever it takes, because you know that it is already there, and just taking actions every day towards that direction, which will make you to achieve your goal.
And it's within our control, right? I mean, um, a lot everybody's a critic, I think, and and I've been a critic of things before, but Napoleon Hill's critics um, criticized him in this description of burning desire, saying that he kind of oversimplifies success, right? Um, and he neglected factors like privilege and opportunity, because there's a notion where you end up depends on where you start, right? But there's a lot of people who were not rich when they were young and they're rich now. And if you find those people, go ask them why. You'll find there was a burning desire. There always was. And it's Hill's focusing on that internal individual drive. This book was written for people of privilege. It was also written for people who are in poverty. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really give much attention to, like, he's criticized for not mentioning privilege, but he's not paying attention to excuses either. Because someone who doesn't have anything can just say, "Oh, well, I'm not rich. I'm never going to be rich," which there are thousands and thousands and thousands of real world, real life, living today examples of why that is just not a true statement. Just because you're broke today doesn't mean you won't be rich tomorrow.
Yes, your
But
results.
you have to be intentional about it, and there has to be something behind, some burning desire, some almost obsession. Um, Figure out what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, it could be something most people would consider not positive. If it drives you, channel it, whatever it is. There's no judgment here. It's just figure out what it is, and then you can kind of go on to what he does in this chapter, which I like, is where he makes like his 6 steps to turn that desire into gold.
Yes, and it is not about where you are now, it is more about where you want to be. Yes, because all results which you have today, you have because of your thoughts, decisions, and actions in the past. And this is the principles which we discuss in the frame of this book, which will help you to get yourself from here to where you want to be. It means that it doesn't matter what was in the past, you can leave it in the past, but it matters what you will do today with this knowledge which you receive through us from this book. Yes, and when you start implementing, contemplating about your goal, thinking, and really taking this deep and not just listening, but really hear what we say and implement and practice every day, because this book is not just a theory, this is everyday practice. and you cannot miss even one day. So there are some principles, there are some techniques which you have to do every day, and then you will see how your life will change.
And it's not easy. He never says it's easy. It's just it's possible, and there's a formula, and there's a way to do it. But um, success and rewards go to people who do the things that others fail to do. So you got to decide: am I going to be one of the people that isn't willing to put out the effort, or am I going to be one of the people who succeeds? Because you can put out the effort and not succeed, but you're not going to succeed without putting out the effort. So you could still try and fail, but if you don't want to try, then we already know what's going to happen. You're going to fail. You can't succeed if you don't try.
Yes, and as you said, these principles are for everyone. There is no difference because everything what is said in this book is based on the laws. Yeah, the universal laws that govern all everything. So this is not about difficultness. It is not the rocket science. It is really simple things, but the key is to implement it. The key is you. How much you want to achieve your goal, that you will be ready and willing to do these simple steps every day. So this is all about discipline. And again, why you will discipline and do something if you don't have burning desire? So again, the importance of setting that big goal that will turn into burning desire, that will push you to do every day what you say, this is the key to success.
Oh yeah, I think this book did this at the time because we know the names. Like we know who Thomas Edison was. We know who Henry Ford was. Abraham Lincoln. These were great American leaders. These were people who overcame obstacles. They but these put yourself in the time frame. Put yourself in the 1930s. These were celebrities. These were real, alive, living human beings with status and stories, and you could interview them. And that's what he did. And that's really the gold in this book is he interviewed all of these people, and he just what happened was these common elements emerged that they all shared, and they were different. And what I find so fascinating about this book, like I told you, when a friend of mine read the book, um, after reading the book, he was motivated to find a life partner. He was single and wrote it down, took the steps, didn't give up, and within 6 months met someone, and that was almost 30 years ago, and they're still together. Like, and to me, I'm like, Think and Grow Rich. How is that rich? Well, everyone defines rich differently. Rich could be, I have enough land for my horses to graze. That might be rich to some. Rich might be able to see their children during the day instead of having to leave them with daycare or what. Rich is whatever you think it is. It doesn't matter. And the book doesn't judge. And I didn't get that until I actually got into a book club with some other people and observed them reading it. And then I realized, wow, this book is speaking different things almost to different people, but it's not. It's your burning desire is yours. Your goals and wants are yours. Your definition of success is yours. But I miss that. And I've said it before, but I think this book would be interesting if someone would do it with those highly successful people of today. And while we know who Edison, Ford, and Lincoln are, a lot of people don't know their personalities. They don't know, there's no evidence of them failing when we know they did. Um, but their names endured. And I wonder how much of that is due to this book because everybody seems to have read this book at some point that wanted to succeed. But I think it provided real world examples and how a burning desire fueled extraordinary achievements again and again and again, the same step by step process. And it's here, it's in the book.
Yeah, so we spoke already about 6 steps, and this is really important if you just listening to us now and maybe didn't listen in previous chapters. So we spoke about the two first tasks. One was to really determine what is your big goal. That is much bigger what you experienced before. That is really something that you want to trade your life time. And another one was six steps. And I would just briefly remind about these six steps because they are in this chapter desire. So the method by which desire for riches can be transmuted into its financial equivalent consists of six defined practical steps. And the first step is fix in your mind the exact amount of money you desire. It's not sufficient merely to say, I want plenty of money. Be definite as to the amount. The second is determine exactly what you intend to give in return for the money you desire. It's because there is nothing for nothing. You cannot get something for nothing. You should understand what you have to pay. You will put your time, you will put your efforts, you will implement everything what we will share that is written in this book. The third is establish a definite date when you intend to possess the money you desire. Yes, so it is again definiteness of purpose. You have to know all the details by what time you want to have that money. The fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and begin at once whether you are ready or not to put this plan into action. And this is also you create the plan. Of course, you will not know everything. Yes, because we never know, we never can connect the dots looking forward. We only can connect them when we look backwards. And but you can create the plan from where you are, from what you have. Yes, and when you start making steps, then this plan will be uh, more opening, and you will see other steps and other ideas will come to you. The fifth is write out a clear, concise statement of the amount of money you intend to acquire. Name the time limit for its acquisition. State what you intend to give in return for the money and describe clearly the plan through which you intend to accumulate it. It means like you resume, in fifth, you resume the four steps. And the sixth one is read your written statement aloud twice daily, once just before returning at night and once after rising in the morning. As you read, see and feel and believe yourself already in possession of the money. The sixth step is so important because if you do everything but you don't practice this every day, nothing will change. Because the secret is in feelings. When you remind yourself every morning and every evening, and you can also write it in the goal card, carry up with you in your pocket to even look at it more. So every time you read this and see this in writing, you impress this idea into your subconscious mind and you create the path, is like neurological path that it become firmer and firmer like cement. And then you start seeing yourself that this is possible, then you believe that it is possible through repetition, and then your subconscious mind will start building you the map which you cannot see with your physical eyes, but through intuition and other high mental faculties you will be guided towards that goal.
Well, and whenever I've kind of broke down, like whenever you try something and you fail, the best thing usually you can do right away, if it's not too emotionally traumatic, is to kind of perform an autopsy on the failed attempt or the failed project and see what went wrong, like what could have been done better, learn from it. I think it's not, making mistakes isn't bad. Making the exact same mistake is bad. That's tacky. That means you're not learning. But if you're finding new and creative ways to screw things up, you're on the right track, because eventually, even if you fail 100 times, you'll eventually succeed, because For every failure, there's a success. Just that's what I love about sports. When there's a game, somebody wins and somebody loses. That's the way it works. But in these steps, when people do these kind of autopsies and when they look back, in my experience, there's two parts of these 6 steps that stand out as the two parts that were skipped. And the first one is on the onset in step 2, decide what it is you're going to give up. That's a that you have to give to get, and we're this is a problem. This is a mindset issue because we're programmed to be more afraid of loss than we are excited about gain, even when it makes no sense. Like we're afraid to lose $1, even though we might gain $100. We're scared to lose, and that's an instinct that you have to overcome, which involves mindset work sometimes. But that's number 2. The desire is the fuel, but you have to be so specific about that desire that you can comprehend or imagine or visualize what you're going to have to give up. Is it your time? Is it going to be your money? Is it going to be, you know, sweat equity? Is it going to be hard manual labor? What are you going to give up to make this happen? Is it going to be your Sundays where you have to work Sundays and that you don't want to have to, you'd like to be off on Sundays? Well, then your desire to be off on Sundays trumps whatever you're saying your burning desire is. And that's why the desire is so important. So number 2 seems to be the one element that people organically skip. That's why I think the 6-step actionable plan is so important because it has that in it. And then there's that the second part of step 4, begin a plan. I'm a business planning specialist. I'm all about plans. I plan everything. And not only do I plan, I make a contingency plan in case the plan doesn't work. And then I have a backup plan for the contingency. Like I'm a planner. But you can plan forever. Some people put way too much emphasis on the details and the specifics and the completeness of the plan. You need to take action. You said it. You might not be ready and you might not know everything. But decisive action where you actually take an actionable step, even if you don't know 100% if you're going to succeed or not, that beats planning every day. The planning is a requirement, but don't use the plan as your excuse not to start. You start the plan, and not long after starting the plan, you take some kind of step. And those two parts, like the second half of step 4 and all of step 2, to me are the things that I find that people skip. The writing things down and the affirmations and the saying it, once they've read this, they buy into it and they do it, and that's important and it works. But even the people who've read this book, I find those 2 steps, what are you going to give up, and um, taking the action and not getting bogged down in the planning process. That's in my experience, and this is after the fact. This is not what I think would happen. This is what I've seen has happened to others. Those 2 things are the gotchas, or the omissions that I run into the most.
Yes, yes, exactly. So you have to act before you feel that you're ready, because you will never feel that you're ready. If your goal is big, it means that you have to step into unknown and take action from where you are with what you have without seeing all the picture. But you have to act now. It is like very important principle. Do it now. Do it now. Like, just you have idea, is it aligned with your goal? Yes, so do it now. Because you never know, you take the first step, like you open one door and 7 doors will open, but you will never see those doors if you don't take first step. This is how our mind works. We have to be willing to be uncertain and uncomfortable, that, like, letting go um, this need to be certain, that to have everything planned. We
But even if you're trying,
Mm.
Darby didn't know he was 3 feet short of the gold. He didn't know. He believed that if he kept doing it, he would find it, and he finally stopped believing. And it's terrifyingly accurate how often that happens. It's almost predictable that there's something in your subconscious mindset that's more powerful than you think, and it's this fear of success. It's this fear of change. And your instinct wants a status quo. Instinct doesn't want things to change, it wants you to be comfortable. And success is not comfortable. Success is the part, the discomfort is what, because if everybody did all these steps all the time, it wouldn't work as well because everybody's doing it. The way the world is set up, everyone can't be the richest people in the world. Everyone can't be the successful. For every winner, there's a loser, and you can't. Everyone can't win. Like all the football teams in the league can't be undefeated. It's not possible. So you've got to have something that distinguishes you, and the harder it is, the more valuable it is.
Yes, like it is, we can see physical things, yes, like physical world, all this 3D reality, but it is a reflection of energy. So we don't see the energy, but energy always wins. So this physical world is just a mirror, a mirror of what is happening in the minds of people. Yes, if it is again the team, so the one who have the strongest desire, who is committed, that one is wins. But we see it in physical reality, just a reflection of what is going inside.
I know, and I've recently been reading about string theory. Like they talk about when I was a kid in school, they said electrons were the smallest particle. Well, it turns out inside electrons are these nodules, and inside the nodules is string, and string is just the energy. The energy here in this planet, in this universe that we know, created the electrons that created the atoms that were the building block that made carbon and it made physics. If there's alien places that started with the same energy, it could be clouds of smoke that aren't really tangible like we are, but the energy at the core would be the same. It's that string, and the energy is behind your decision making, not your logical brain. There's you have instinct. That's why mindset's so important. Our brains are wired with these instincts that aren't necessary anymore. We don't need to pick a leader or we'll get killed by predators typically. So those instincts to surround ourselves with friendly people or to be in a herd or whatever the instincts are, they're not really serving us anymore. In fact, some of them are negative. I think the the instinct to trust others with the same experience as ourselves or trust others that look like us, that's morphed into racism and bigotry. Instead of the goal being to trust people that look like you, we are distrusting others that don't look like us. And that's an instinct that's not helping. You can control that, but you have to work on your mindset to overcome that and know you have to overcome some things that you're programmed to do because you're programmed almost to fail because that's why most people do. And I say fail, it's not failing, it's just not achieving remarkable achievements and having the success you think you want. You're not really interested in whatever it takes to do to get there.
Yeah, so
Uh,
true, so true. And everyone who succeed has that one feature, that they raised their consciousness, they raised their awareness, they started questioning their thoughts and beliefs, because success is always creating growth. Yeah, it is growth, and growth it always change. You cannot grow if you don't change. So success
exactly.
is, yeah, so
I work with teams, and they'll say everybody wants things to grow. Everything wants things to get better. Everybody. I've never met someone that didn't want whatever situation they're in to get better. Everybody wants that. But at the same time, nobody wants anything to change. No, this is the toothbrush that I like. No, this is the way I take to work. I don't care that the GPS says there's a faster way. This is the way that this is the order in which I eat my food on my plate every night. This is what I drink. I don't like this brand. Like we're programmed to not change. You're there's something in your subconscious mind that you have to be aware of, and you have to change it. Sometimes just for the sake of change, to teach your brain that you can change things. You do have free will, but some of us have more free will than others.
Yeah, I think that potentially everyone has that will, but it is like a muscle. Yes, like a muscle that
Exactly.
we have to develop. It is not that somebody has weak will or somebody has strong will. It is high mental faculties which are given equal to everyone. So the matter is how you really want to live, what goals in your life you set, and how you develop that will like a muscle every day. And there are different techniques how which can help you to develop the will. So you can focus. Will is ability to focus on something to the exclusion of everything else. Yes. So when you develop that will to focus on really what you want, what you desire, this is how you will start be productive, effective. You will not be disrupted by anything else, and you will know that you want something and you get it. And when you even started doing this in small things, but you create confidence in yourself and that winner's image, that you know if you want something, you just fix your mind on that, you take the steps, and you get it, whatever it takes.
Yeah. Well, another thing that you see that there is in common with a lot of successful people, one thing they all have in common is they don't really care what other people think. If your burning desire is based on, I want to have this car and this address at this fancy neighborhood because people will uh, look up to me. If that's what your burning desire is, well, you've already got a mindset handicap because you're worried about what other people think. And that's going to limit your actions because you don't want the criticism of the inevitable work and failures that you're going to need to go through to get to your ultimate goal. So if your ultimate goal is based on thoughts and opinions of others, you're swimming with one arm. You really need to break yourself free of that. And that's a mindset that a lot of us have. Some people want things not because they're practical or there's a strong desire. It's, oh, all the women at my lunch group have this $10,000 purse. I mean, if you told me that, I would think all the women in your lunch group are spendthrifts and should not have access to a checking account because they will spend a ridiculous amount of money on a bag that you can get for free. That's stupid. That's not a characteristic of somebody who's going to be wildly successful. And the converse is also true. If there's someone who just is so tight or so thrifty that they just miss out on everything because they pinch pennies and they don't spend money and they don't like to invest and they almost are afraid to put money in the bank. They want to keep it close to them. That's the opposite. Either your relationship to money in business, and when you're talking about success as financial, you've got to have some balance. You've got to reward yourself, and you've got to realize it's okay to want nice, expensive things, but it's also okay to be practical and know things value. And I think that ties into he what we call goals. Like we try to distinguish between desire and goals. He talks about the importance of that definiteness of purpose. And my what I'm hearing when I hear definiteness of purpose, that's when I hear a goal. And we've all been through goal setting exercises where you want them to be specific, you want them to be measurable, you want them to be attainable and relevant and time bound, smart goals, whatever. But smart goals look a lot like the 6 steps of the desire, don't they? I mean, there's a time limit. You get real specific. There's some other elements in there that get skipped, but goals are different than desire. Desire is what you want and it's burning inside of you. Goals are goals, you hit them, because if your goal is to buy a new car, you hit the goal when the car is in your driveway. That you hit it. It's not ambiguous. It's really, really clear. And having those specific, definite, purpose driven goals is what he really talks about. And it where the desire is the fuel, it provides like the direction and and the focus, which in turn gives you those guiding actions towards the outcome, because it's outcome based now because you have a goal. You have a desire to get desires putting gas in your car, and the goal is the GPS and the car that's a functioning car, right? If we got the fuel and we got a functioning car and we know where we're going, we don't think about, I hope someday to get myself to the vacation spot. No, you have a map. You know exactly how many miles it is. You know what time you'll get there. You know where you'll stop for maybe gas or lunch if it's far away. But you never doubt that you're going to get there. You might pay thousands of dollars for the hotel for a week. You know that's it's a plan. It's a goal, but it's a far gone conclusion. And if you make your goal a success, like that goal, where you assume that you're going to get it, it's a lot easier. And the success rate is a lot higher.
Yes, yes, definitely. And also, when we set the big goals, it can be something that other people can consider that it is not possible. Yes, so it is not what they think, it is what you want. Yes, and we from this chapter Desire, where Napoleon explained situation with his son who was born without ears, and doctors told that he has no chance to hear and speak, but Napoleon made decision to see his son as he is able to hear and speak. And this is what they did with his wife. They didn't send him to school with for children with special needs, but they sent him to ordinary school, and they helped him to believe that he can hear and that he can speak. And at the end of the story, we can see that his son became very successful, and he could speak and he could hear, and he turned his uh, disability which he had to blessing to help thousands of other people to improve their life who had also these disabilities with hearing capacities.
Well, yeah, because all of this guides what's going to happen. I heard a fantastic story, and I wish I had more specifics about it, but it was a story about someone who was a marginal student at best. Like he was okay. He wasn't doesn't need to drop out of high school or whatever. He was going to pass, but he wasn't even thought of as college material. But everyone in his high school class took the entrance SAT and ACT, these tests to get into college. And when the scores came back, his score was almost perfect. It was off the charts. It was the highest score of anyone who took the test. And they said, okay, wait a minute. We've got someone that we were thinking wasn't very bright actually is very bright, and we just need to figure out how to tap into them. And so they arranged for him to go to, a really strong academic school that challenged him, and he was of the mindset that I made a higher score than all of these people. I must be brilliant. So, thinking that he was brilliant, he approached school as a smart person would, and he achieved so much in his field, and he was highly successful. He wasn't just highly successful in college, he was highly successful in business after. And it was later determined that he didn't make a good score on that test. They mixed it up. There was some smart kid with straight A's that had that high score, and he got his score. And I don't know what happened to that guy, but this it's the way that it was approach was.
Mhm.
We're just going to pretend you're smart. We're going to treat you as if you were smart. And then he succeeded as if he was smart. Um, Everyone is smart. It's just how you react to it. That's why psychiatrists used to warn people of, you know, when you have multiple kids, say, oh, this one's the smart one. Well, you got to realize if you're saying that, you're telling the other ones they're the dumb ones. And they're going to approach life as the dumb ones, maybe. And that's, unless it motivates them somehow, it's there's a lot to that. So you can control some of that, and you can know that anybody can make a high score on a college entrance exam. if that becomes your goal and you put in the work to prep and take practice tests and and do all the work and seek out books and experts and whatever you need to do to increase that score. But it's the validation that motivates. So if you make the score, if you succeed at the goal, success is going to breed success. And he talks about the role of faith and autosuggestion, but I thought that was kind of an example of it. Like the boy with no ear. Um, we're just not going to let him know. Because I always wonder. I have a brother who's colorblind, and I was like, how did the first colorblind person know they were colorblind? Why did they not just assume everybody saw the colors the way they saw? How did we get to the point where we were aware of that? Someone tells you something's wrong with you, and if they don't tell you, you don't know. And that's faith and autosuggestion. I mean, and this works. You can see this works with people who meditate, people who are deeply religious. They pray. You keep. I mean, prayers. It's the same words over and over and over again. They make you memorize them in school and in church when you're little, but you're you're doing one of these steps. You wrote something down, you're saying it in the morning, you're saying it at night. That's the power of autosuggestion. I think this knowledge has been around for a long time, and that's why all those traditions exist. But um, if you believe in yourself, and you've got to believe in yourself if you're going to believe in the positive outcome.
Yes, and it is not only even yes. So you believe, and also you write it every day, impress into your subconscious mind, because there should be alignment between your conscious mind and subconscious mind. Yes, so if you believe and you say I believe, and then you have another inner voice that says, oh, maybe I cannot do this, maybe I need more information, or maybe I'm not enough, it will be not alignment. So this is so important to do these practical steps, to write this down every day, to read your goal, and to visualize yourself as you already there, as it already happened, because through repetition, you will impress these ideas into your subconscious mind. And then when you accept it at that subconscious level, then when you will be aligned conscious and subconscious, and then when it will move your body to certain actions, yes, like what you believe, what your subconscious, how you feel, that you already there, that this is yours, that you can do that. This is feelings, and feelings will cause your body to act in a certain way, and then there is action and reaction. This is how you will start getting results, which will reinform this confidence in you. Then you will say yes, this is works, and then you become more confident and you will take more steps. So this is how it will start working, but it will not happen if you don't do the work. You really have to be disciplined and do this every day.
Well, I know you're probably exactly the same as me in that when you work in this space of working with coaching and mindset work, or even psychotherapist, I don't know anyone who works in this space that helps coach people to success that doesn't believe in the power of what we consider today, I guess, visualization or positive affirmations. That's a pillar or foundation of modern approach to things like this. But this is exactly what he was talking about in autosuggestion. It's commonplace now. This was groundbreaking in the 1930s. And that's why this book is so timeless, because outside of some, you know, a few minor ways he described people back in the 30s, there's nothing in this book that hasn't been embraced on a deeper level and is now part of what's expected. You just don't know the core behind it. And that's what's beautiful about this book, is you got to kind of see when these ideas were really new, because they were. This wasn't not visualization and positive affirmation was, they might burn you at the stake for being a witch if you started talking like that in, a century or two ago. But now Imagining something in the future and being really specific about it and being able to actually see it is a freaking requirement if you really want to have success, and to be able to visualize it in the positive, as if it's success. I think, faith and self-belief that creates this positive expectancy, and it influences your subconscious mind, everything you're saying. But that subconscious mind is driving action. We think our logical mind or our intelligent conversation mind is driving. It's not. What's driving action is our subconscious mind. That's where the decisions are made. That's why sometimes we can have all the data in the world and it's obvious who we should pick, but our gut tells us to pick the other one. Why is our gut telling us to pick the other one? There's some kind of instinctive process going on. And maybe your gut's telling you to pick the one that looks like you. Maybe your gut is telling you to pick the one that's has a stronger looking back. Because in our instincts to keep us alive, you want to surround yourself with friendly people that have strong backs. Not as important necessarily in business unless the job is picking up heavy stuff. That's the faith and autosuggestion is big. I love the order in which everything comes. We have the purpose and the driving force, and then we have the 6 steps, and then we have the goals, and then we have visualization or autosuggestion. Then it kind of finishes with overcoming fear and doubt. And I well, Hill doesn't necessarily acknowledge all the potential pitfalls that could come, and sometimes he's criticized for that. He absolutely acknowledges the challenges that fear and doubt provide, and then gives you strategies to overcome them. Which, if you doubt you can do it, you're right. If you believe you can do it, you're right. It could be the same thing. It really depends on what you believe the outcome's going to be and how committed you are to impacting it.
Yes, and remember that there are limitations which are only in your mind. There are no limitation outside, and you can achieve what you believe only. If you don't believe it, if you don't see it, it will never happen. So the belief is very important, and also in the next chapter we will speak about the faith. Yes, that why it is important also to have the strong faith in order to achieve your results. And every time we finish our episode with the task. So I think that the task would be for this chapter related to your goal and desire. And I would like you to write your life when your goal is already achieved. Take time and visualize that this already happened. Describe your life and write yourself a letter from the future. And describe in that letter what you do, where you live, how you feel, maybe where you travel, and everything that is related to your goal achieved. So, this will help you to see that picture in your mind when we will go further and we will go to auto suggestion and different other techniques. You can start already from now seeing yourself in that picture as your goal achieved.
I love that.
We lost your video.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Can you still hear me? What
No.
happened?
Yes, so this is important because we have that high mental faculty, which is imagination. And imagination is a workshop where we create our reality. Yes. Yes, so start using this imagination, and as a wheel, it is also like a muscle which you can develop. More you use
Exactly.
it, because we used imagination, most of us. Yes, we used it when we were children, when we were dreaming. It was so easy to dream into fly somewhere in our imagination, and create whatever we wanted, and we could feel ourselves in that picture, and it was so bright. Yes, so when our parents wanted us to quit our games, we even couldn't disconnect quickly. We wanted to stay in that feeling, yes, because it was so good. It was felt so good. Yes, and then when we went to school, we were conditioned to think logically, to come down, be present, look at books, stop daydreaming. That is just for little kids. Now you're also already adult. So we forgot, and we lost that muscle. Yes, which was so strong in the childhood. We lost it and became weak. So now we have to again start using that. Yes, like if someone breaks his hand, then it puts the gips, yeah, and then if it is 1 month, you cannot even move the hand. You have to force it again to move. So this is exactly, and it is so uncomfortable. It really feels discomfort when you do something that is weak, when you try to develop it. So this is exactly, maybe initially you will not feel easy to imagine, because we are so conditioned to think logically, to see all the facts, to see only through our five senses, that we really forgot how to imagine. Yeah, so this may take some steps, but as soon as you start, it is better. So
Decisive action beats careful planning all day. Doesn't mean careful planning is not important, but you've got to take the steps. And yeah, you've got to be able to visualize it. I know people who are very successful. When I was a kid, I remember going to rock concerts and say, "Oh, I want to be a rock star. I want to."
Mhm.
And then I went to a guitar lesson and it was hard and it took the fun out of it. I just wanted to already know how to do that because I was interested in being the rock star. I wasn't interested in being a musician. And you learn. But I know a lot of people that succeed in performing and music and stuff. Their background was they were playing these instruments when they were 4 and 5 years old, out of love for the music. They loved it. They wanted to create. They wanted to explore. They were into it. Um, it was their talent and their desire and their dream. But when your dream is, oh, I want all the rewards from something, then you're skipping that step too. What are you going to give up for that? You've got to give up. It takes a lot of practice and a lot of time to become good at something. So you're not going to become good at something that you don't truly want to do unless you figured out how to program yourself and say, I am willing to put in the work to do this, even though it's hard and even though I don't enjoy it and even though because I have a goal. But that's I'm going to give up my time to learn and seek out knowledge and practice and rehearse and drill and that goes for playing the music, that goes to dancing, that goes to art, that goes to work, that probably even goes to creating spreadsheets and math problems. You've got to love it, and if you don't love it, you've got to love the outcome so much that you make it your burning desire that pushes you through the hard part, because the hard part is where the discomfort is, and the discomfort and the uncomfortableness is where the success is.
Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. And when you see this picture of your life, when the goal already achieved, and you read this every day, and you rewrite this, you add some other ideas, so it will become for you as a real picture. And when you read it every day through repetition, it will become that very strong. And this is what will this picture will which you will see in your mind. Yes, like all people who achieved success, they already saw exactly picture where they are in the future, and this is what became their reality, and this is how they found that fuel, as we said, that energy to move forward and break through all the walls and barriers.
Well, and I absolutely love your homework assignment, the write the letter from yourself in the future. I'll offer this if anybody actually wants to do that and send that to me or us, I'm more than happy to kind of break it down for you and show you the actionable items that came out of that. And I'm pretty discerning and I'm pretty good at seeing what's really in there. Maybe stuff I see things in things that people wrote that they might not necessarily see. That's kind of something I'm good at. So I really love evaluating stuff like that. So if anybody wants to do this exercise and wants to have some feedback, I'm speaking for me. I'm not speaking for you, but I'm more than happy to do that.
Yes, of course. Yes, I also can give my feedback, of course, because this is so important. Because say if we don't have the really goal that is that goal that will bring the desire from us, it other steps don't have any value. Yes, because we have to really find something big, so that
Right.
will become that passion, that will become that force yes, behind our goal. And this is first step is very important. So if you feel that you need help or want to have some ideas or speak, of course, reach out to us and we will be happy to help you.
Awesome. Awesome. So next time we're going to talk about chapter 3. I'm already excited about that. And this one, this is that chapter. Like I said, I wasn't lying. When I read this book once, I went back and read chapter 2, and then I read chapter 2 again, and then I read chapter 2 again, because I had already read the whole book, and I realized that the foundation of everything is not necessarily the introduction is important, but this chapter has so much in it. I mean, we could write a book about this chapter. I can't emphasize how important this one is, but I'm excited to get on to number 3.
Yes, so chapter 3 will be about the faith, and we will meet in 1 week. So, another thing which I wanted to emphasize here, that read only one chapter for a week. Don't go to other chapters, because some people want just to read whole book. Yes, but really Napoleon recommends to read one chapter for like few days. Like in our case, it is 1 week. Read one chapter many times. Go through it, highlight the idea.
Let it marinate. Like I said, this is one of those books I've read multiple times, and I get something new out of it each time. Something new. I read it, and I read it decisively, and I read it, you know, for comprehension, and I read it taking notes. I had to buy a new copy of the book because I had dog-eared and highlighted and written all over it so much that it wasn't even usable anymore. Uh, it's one of those kinds of books. You you want to make sure you're getting everything out of it. And if you're going to read any chapter more than once, the one we just read is that one. But this next one is important too. But they all build on this one.
Yes. So we see you in a week, and before that, think about your goal, about your desire. Go again through 6 steps to see the process, how to make your desire manifest in your life, and write yourself the letter from your future self who already achieved that goal and live the life that you desire.
That's huge. That's a great thing to do. Anybody who hasn't done that, I remember in college I had a teacher say, write your obituary. And it really made all of us as students realize none of us have done anything. None of us have impacted the world in any way. Because you go read these older people, they started companies, or they they volunteered, they worked 50 years at one company. Like they all did these things. And when you're young, you haven't done anything. And there's no reason not to do things just because you're young. And this book to me was a shortcut to having a healthy obituary. Well, obituary is kind of morbid. A letter from your future self, and your future self is still alive, is not morbid. That's motivating. And who knows? Maybe your future self will whip you into shape.
Yes,
That's the goal.
yes. And again, think about everything possible. Just don't think how I will do that. Don't think about how. Just connect to your heart. Just imagine that everything is possible, what you really want. So at this step, we really want you to connect with your wishes, with your uh, wants, yes, with your wants, with your dreams. Allow yourself to dream, just put some music and really imagine that everything is possible. What that one thing you would have, yes, that will you will really feel successful, happy, and inspired, and write about that, how your life will be. Feel that. So get to those feelings and write them, and it will be a great letter which in few years you can see that all became your real life. And that will
I
be
love it.
exciting.
I love it. All right. See you next week.
See you soon.